I am your host, Leah Demla, and you are listening to the Oracle on Purpose podcast, where we help intentional leaders clarify their purpose and next steps to create a work and life of significance.
Hello, everyone. I am here today to chat about, actually, I'm following up on an earlier post. If you've been following that post, you may be wondering what the answer to the question is. And because I wanted to share my answer, I wanted to have a little fun with it because I think that there's oftentimes a lesson behind this particular topic, which is people feeling a little nervous about letting their freak flag fly, right? Like the things that are different, unique, maybe to you seem like other people would misunderstand them or find fault in them. So you kind of keep them hidden. And why that can actually kill your business. And I'll tell you, one of the great things that I learned, thankfully, early on, pretty early on anyway, was that the more I try to be seen as something, seen like outside people would be like something would be respectable or professional or what other people, I thought, what other people wanted of me as an intuitive, as a business coach, as an entrepreneur, as a best-selling author, all these things, like the concept in my head of what that looked like to other people and how I would need to dress or act or talk or walk or wear my hair, that all of that clambering for the right way to show up, right? So that people would maybe respect me, but also I think it was just like people would see me as that thing that I wanted them to recognize me for. So the effort and the efforting to fall into either a pre-described notion of what that looks like to other people and or what it doesn't look like, right? Making sure that the parts of me that didn't match that were somehow muted or held in the background. All of that effort and efforting just sucked the life out of me. Think about that. It sucked the life, sucked the joy, sucked the flow, the freedom, the rambunctiousness, the lover of fine things, all of those things that I was naturally having to suppress them or couch them or hide them made me showing up more stressful. And when that happens, and this is what I see with my clients too, then we don't show up. Then we don't want to be on video or show up at the networking meeting or make the phone call. We start to feel as if we're not enough. And oftentimes people can talk about, the idea that they feel like imposter syndrome. This leads to that too. It's the idea that what you really are is somehow wrong for what you want to be. Who you really are is somehow wrong for who you really want to be and who you want to be seen as. So, I share this today because I did, like I said, put a post up. And the great thing about the post I think was fun was I said that, I've been talking to my clients this week about being all of who they are, like not pretending, not hiding, not couching parts of yourself so that your individual, unique beauty, the thing that makes you you and why you're here in the first place gets to be shared with the world. All of it, all of you, right? And in that conversation, I realized there's one thing about me, there's probably a lot of things actually, but there's one thing about me that people are probably kind of would laugh at and find funny that isn't true in this list of things that I shared. So I decided I'd share some things about me that I think are kind of interesting and different that people don't know, which is important because that gives people like an idea of who I am and my wholeness. And then one of the things that I mentioned wasn't true. So I'm going to wait till the very end to tell you what the last thing is that's not true on the list, but I'm going to tell you the whole list right now. So just to make sure I read the list exactly, I said there are 5 interesting things about me, and only 4 of them were true. Now, just doing that, if you're listening to this and you're someone who's trying to be more visible, be more engage more people, bring more people into your sphere, your funnel, whatever, pay attention, okay? First, and before I go any further, for those of you who are just for some reason hopping in and seeing me for the first time, I am Leah Dunlap. I'm known as the Oracle on Purpose, and that is already something that is somewhat unique about me, and that is that I'm an intuitive business guide. I help my clients using my intuitive gifts and all of my experience in the corporate world and sales and marketing to help them build and expand their businesses in a purposefully aligned way so that they can feel fulfilled and find their path to millions. That's what I do, right? That's my work. Now, the 5 things that I shared that are somewhat different about me, I think. 1, I was married to my best friend in a Scottish kirk. The second thing I said was I have a dry sense of humor and love the show Schitt's Creek. And you need to look at that, but it's Schitts. I surfed Kata Beach in Phuket, Thailand. The other thing I said was I have authored 3 best-selling books on Amazon. And the last thing on the list was that I have worse dance moves than Seinfeld's Elaine Bennis. Now, that last one, you have to know who Elaine Bennis is and look up Seinfeld. You can go do the Elaine Bennis dance and you'll get the feeling there. So these are the 5 things that I listed, 4 of which are true and 1 is not. Now, the funny thing about why I did this, besides the fact that I think it's just fun to kind of know, to see what people might pick of those 5, is these are things about me that I don't necessarily always talk about in conversation, but they're parts of who I am and what I've done in my life that give me that roundedness, right? They give me the realness that other people who are looking for support, looking for guidance from someone might bond with, might connect with. So the reason we want to make sure that we let those things that kind of seem a little odd or quirky about ourselves show up is that odd, quirky thing about you may be just the one thing that makes you stand out against every other fill in the blank that you are, right? Every other coach, every other real estate agent, every other doctor, every other healer, practitioner, every other whatever, your unique spirit and your unique talents and your unique quirky things that you do or have or are passionate about, they color who you are. So Shannon says, I can't wait for the answer. Well, it's going to come soon, so stay tuned. So the funniest part of this is that as I wrote that list, I kind of had a feeling like, I don't know if anybody's going to believe any of these things. And yet, like I said, 4 of them were actually true. And I know that when people see me in my real life, like behind the scenes, what they see there, hopefully anyway, is what you guys see here, right? Do you get that? What people get from me when we get into a room one-on-one, or if I'm at a networking event, or I'm at a mastermind event with people, the person they're talking to is the person they see on Facebook. It's the person they hear on my podcast. It's the person whose words they read in my book. Those are the things that come through as true about me, right? So they allow people to get, so when you do this and you start sharing those interesting, fun things about you, the reason people get so excited, or that post, or there's more engagement, or people lean in, we get it, right? We get that people have multi-dimensions to themselves. So when you share some of that with people, it's a level of intimacy and honest vulnerability. Like vulnerability went a little bit sideways, in my opinion, last year, whenever it was just like, here's a vulnerable post. And they just went crazy telling things just because they thought vulnerable posts win. Hey, Barry. You found it. Yes, pay attention to that video, by the way, that Barry, my friend Barry Newton, the actor from New York, who is a wonderful jazz enthusiast, has shared a post about Julia Louis-Dreyfus, which is really funny too. That's Elaine Bennis, by the way. Thanks for participating. The beauty of that moment when what we call, thank you, Barry, in theater, like we break the fourth wall, right? We break the wall between us and the audience. That's connection. And it can happen through all the multimedia, activities that we do. It can happen through Zoom. It can happen through phone calls. It can happen when in all the places you show up real. You show up like a real person. You have real feelings and real emotions, real passions. You have real quirky things that you do or say or have experienced that someone else can connect with. And even if it's not something that they've done, you're showing them that your interest in that or your experience with that is something that resonates with them. Okay? It resonates. It's like a fine tuning of the vibration. Because ultimately, if you're really connecting with people to work with them, the vibration you're sending out is the message they're receiving. Which is why, again, letting that little side of you that you've been trying to kind of polish up and neaten up and tidy up so that everybody can experience it, right? Like what you think is a good doctor or a professional real estate agent or even, a talented teacher, whatever it is. If you are doing it from the persona side, then you are becoming this one-dimensional piece of like paper. It's not real. There's no depth to it. And then, like the saying goes, right? How do they trust you? And it's not that you've done anything wrong necessarily. It's just you're not real. And so that's why I encouraged people to guess which of those 5 things wasn't true about me, which were, and some people were on the right track. So I want to end this quickly by sharing what that is and telling you why I chose it. So I will tell you which ones were right. So things that I actually am or have, right? I was actually married to my very best friend in the whole world in a Scottish kirk. We were actually married in his ancestral kirk. So the family name Kirk in the family name town is where we were married in Scotland. And so we're really excited because next year we're doing the Master Creators Retreat in Scotland. Yay! So if you've been waiting to come to a Master Creators Retreat, that is definitely going to be a good one to go to. I have a very dry sense of humor for those people who know me closest. And I do actually love Schitt's Creek. I do. I loved it. I watched it. Thought it was fabulous. Really loved David Levy. So yes, that is also true. I have authored 3 best-selling books on Amazon. Now, someone mentioned they thought maybe that was the thing that wasn't true. Now, my primary book, the one that kind of goes with the work that I do, is The Power Plan. So that's probably one that most people know I have actually authored and it did reach bestseller level. I also created a series of books with my son as kind of the inspiration called Marvin the Monster. And Little Marvin Monster does lots of things. And a couple of those books actually made it to the best-selling list. So that is true. I have 3 best-selling books. The other one that is true is I really am not a good dancer. Oh my gosh, I know. It's kind of funny. I love to dance. I love music. I don't have the best dance moves. My moves very much represent Elaine Bennis in the Seinfeld episode. So I like to dance. I don't care. I let myself dance anyway, but that is actually true. I'm not a particularly savvy dancer. So that leaves one thing, and somebody hinted, I think one or two of you, that maybe that was it, and it's true. I have never gone surfing. I have been to Thailand, but we've never gone surfing. And the Thailand was actually our very first Master Creators Retreat was in Thailand. So what I did do, I didn't surf, but I did go scuba diving, not scuba diving, snorkeling in the Andaman Sea with my clients when we went to that retreat. So that's the answer. I don't know for those of you who watched it and thought about it and wondered. There you go. I have never been surfing. So if you see probably next year, maybe we'll put that on the bucket list, right? So that's a little about me. I would love to hear you guys share one thing in the comments below that you kind of feel like is something interesting or quirky about you that you would like to share with the world so that people can see more of who you are. Because as I always say, you are here on purpose. Thanks for watching. Thanks, Barry. Thanks, Shannon. I hope, Shannon, that was, you felt that vindicated. And I hope that, again, everyone shares what their one thing is, at least one, that is a little quirky that makes them who they are. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. I'm Leah Dunlap, the Oracle on Purpose. You are here on purpose.
Thanks for tuning in to the Oracle on Purpose show. If you found value in this episode, we'd appreciate you leaving a comment. Also, you can subscribe and ring the bell if you haven't yet. If you'd like to get clear on your highest vision and next steps, go to oracleonpurpose.com. See you next week.